Hi there, welcome to our new segment of Into the DCEU. This is the second chapter now. We started off before by reviewing Man of Steel. I got here on Blu-ray, which personally I really enjoyed that. The best movie ever. And now we're on to the second one of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice from 2016. That's such a Zack Snyder title, don't you think, dear? This is the Blu-ray HD, Blu-ray 3D. I did not watch this in 3D. Oh, there's Fluffy. She's coming. Can you believe this has the Ultimate Edition with 30 more minutes? After you finished watching it, did you feel as if you want to watch 30 more minutes of this?
No, I just wanted to be over with.
So, this movie didn't come out to a lot of good praise. But we're continuing on to the DCEU, so I'm going to let you start out first here, dear. What did you think of this movie?
It's not good.
I agree. It's not good.
It's not good. However, I like it better than the Man of Steel movie.
Really?
So that tells you how much I like the Man of Steel movie.
Okay.
At least this one has a few things going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still really dumb. And, it makes a lot of mistakes. It's got too much going on. What goes on doesn't make much sense. Batman goes nuts for no reason. Starts beating up Superman. It's no good. And Superman, who can hear Lois Lane in another country across the oceans, cannot hear his mother when she's being kidnapped and she's in the same city as him.
This Superman can't hear across continents.
He can.
No, he can't.
Well, he can because we show him. It shows him rescuing Lois Lane out in the desert somewhere in Africa.
He was nearby, keeping an eye on her.
Oh, can't rescue his own mother, and he has to go make Batman go rescue her. It makes no sense at all. It's really dumb. Too much going on. In the end, nothing really comes out of it all. It's just bad. Okay. That's my opinion of it.
Okay, we'll do ranking in a little bit. So think about what kind of ranking you would give this. I agree. This movie's not very good. It's, as Christine was alluding to, this is very convoluted. There's so much going on as to why these two should fight. And it just, they have to cut out so much. That's why there's an additional 30 minutes in this extended cut. I have seen the Ultimate Edition, the extended cut. It does explain things a little bit better, but it doesn't make the movie any better. It just makes it longer.
Superman doesn't need Batman's help to go find his mother.
He goes
to ask him for help, and then he starts beating him up.
Now get this. This movie is already 2 hours and 31 minutes, the theatrical version, which is what we watched. And the Ultimate Edition is 3 hours and 2 minutes, which is a bit too much. Now, if you're one of those people who love this and you're into the Zack Snyder verse, I don't want to take that away from you, but as I'm a big lover of superheroes, but I can't really get into this movie, and critics don't really support it either. On IMDb, it has a 6.4 ranking out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of rotten at 29%. Yep. Only 29% of critics said something nice about this. Doesn't mean they like it. They just said something nice. And only 63% of audiences like this. So this did not win wide appeal. And the box office shows it because this is a movie that had a budget of $250 million. That's insane. That's like an Avengers level movie. You'd think it would cross $1 billion at least. Worldwide, 873 million.
It's just really bad. They should have just written it properly to make some sense. And then they threw Wonder Woman in there in the middle of it all.
Yeah, Wonder Woman is too much. So what I did while I was watching the movie, because I've seen it many times, including the extended cut, I think at least twice.
You're a sucker for punishment.
I was trying to understand why so many people were online were saying that this is the most amazing thing, but
it is not.
You wouldn't believe the people that argue about that. And if you love this, I think that's great. I'm jealous, and that's why I watched it so much. So I wrote down pros and cons, things I liked, things I didn't like. So I'm going to end on the good. So the things I didn't like. opening with the Batman origin again.
And it's
Everyone knows this.
scene.
Slow motion shots.
It's not
I'm not a fan of those slow mo shots. Batman branding criminals. Where'd this come
makes
from?
No sense.
Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I hate Jesse Eisenberg and everything he's in.
As a weird,
but I don't like watching him on screen. But that's just me. If you love Jesse Eisenberg,
didn't mind him.
and I don't know, I've never met Jesse Eisenberg. I'm sure he's a great guy. Who knows? The fact that they kill off Jimmy Olsen in like the first 5 minutes. That was the photographer, the CIA guy that got shot. Apparently that was Jimmy Olsen. And then right afterwards, they're blaming Superman for the deaths in Africa, and there's all this weird bullet crap because they had these experimental.
No sense.
All of this is
the whole
dumb.
Thing is just really dumb.
We get a lot of sad, mopey Superman scenes. I don't enjoy those.
Save very much.
Okay, like he's saving all these people, and it's like we're all sad. And he's sad.
No energy, Superman.
Why is Clark obsessed with investigating the Batman? In the Ultimate Edition, we see more of him. He goes to Gotham and does more investigating, but they don't really explain what it is. Scoot McNairy's character doesn't really make any sense, and the statue,
Who's Scoot McNairy?
That's the guy who lost his legs at the beginning. Oh, by the way, we're spoiling the crap out of this.
That's just another thing thrown in there.
You don't need that
everybody?
and a statue. Well, look, I'm a big Superman fan, but would they really spend public funds on this giant statue in the middle of this park?
They like parks and statues. But it's just too many things thrown in there. It's like 6 movies
get this.
in one
So you
movie.
get Batman has this dream about the mausoleum and the bat that comes out, and then he wakes up from that into a nightmare sequence that has to do with Apocalypse and Darkseid.
The dreams are
this really big, and then that opens up. Then he wakes up from in the Batcave, sitting in front of his computer, and he's got the Flash coming out of time to tell him that Lois Lane is the key. And I'm like, this is just way too much.
And I hate his suit. You always talk about suits and these things. I usually don't care about the suits, but I hate Batman's suit. It looks so dumb.
I don't like it. Some people really like that one.
It looks like a rhinoceros.
Oh, you're talking about the armored suit?
Yes, it's so
What
dumb.
about his regular Batman suit? Did you mind that? With the little ears?
It's just...
No, his regular Batman suit.
I don't know, but the suit that he wears in this is so
Hold on,
dumb.
I got more.
Okay, keep on going. Okay.
The White Portuguese. This comes out of nowhere. He's investigating this. Why?
It's another topic. It's like throw like 1,000 ideas.
And Bruce Wayne seems to have Dick Cheney rationalizing for why he has to go to war with Superman. There's even a 1% chance. We have to take it as an absolute certainty.
That makes no sense.
Really?
Batman going kind of nuts and Superman going to ask for help and then forgetting he's asking him for help and just starts beating him up instead. Batman
breaks all his rules. Now, I understand that in movies, Batman is portrayed differently from the comics, and I have no problem with that. But Batman he breaks all his rules in most of these movies, okay? Because Batman's supposed to say, no women, no booze, no drugs, like stuff like that. And in this one, he's betting women, he's drinking.
You always see him with women in these movies. Okay. Anyway,
and also no killing. And he's killing in this.
Nothing to do with Ben Affleck. I mean, he can be a fine Batman, but the way what they gave him to do is just stupid.
Let me keep going, okay? Martha Kent telling Clark to be a hero or not be none of that. Like that was not a good scene. Granny's peach tea jar of piss. Really? Did they really need that? I thought that was dumb to put in a Superman movie, a jar of piss.
Why is his mother working as a waitress?
Lex Luthor taking over the ship? Okay? He just walks in, puts in the key, and he's like, you want to take over? Yeah, of course I do.
That's not really the problem I have. It's how he creates this creature.
Okay. Then we get the Justice League trailers, where we see the Wonder Woman footage, and then we see the Flash footage, and then we see the Aquaman footage.
Stuck in there.
These are just trailers in their movie for other movies, which, by the way, get this. They opened them in the order that the movies were supposed to come out. So Wonder Woman's gets opened first, and we did get Wonder Woman after Suicide Squad. And then they open up the Flash, but we're only getting the Flash now. Wow. Then they open up Aquaman. We already got that in 2018. And then they open up Cyborg, and we're never getting a Cyborg movie.
Some executive said, we need to put trailers of the other movies in this movie. Make it so.
Superman climbs a mountain in Nepal and talks to his dead dad, Jonathan Kent. Really? all anti-Superman news clips. I didn't like those. Like, it's all this dissecting the superheroes.
Marvel universe.
All the Lois needs rescuing way too much. Why does she have to be rescued like 5 times in this movie? That's a bit much. Lex Luthor knows Superman's identity? Like, that's a key thing of Superman.
Everybody knows Superman's identity in these movies because he doesn't try to hide in disguise.
Yeah.
He has no real disguise.
So, reasons why Superman and Batman fight are extremely convoluted. We mentioned already. The Martha reason. Oh my god.
It's so dumb. And
I don't
why
like
is his
that.
mother...
And then we get more of Batman's origin.
As a waitress in a restaurant.
Okay, hold on. Then we get more of Batman's origin, more flashbacks, which we don't need anyway.
All these flashbacks and talking to the dead fathers and seeing the dead fathers and the mother. And they play the exact same clip twice in the movie.
The design of the Batwing, didn't care for that.
I didn't like any of that
Doomsday
stuff.
design, he never got to look like Doomsday.
I don't know.
At first, he was like this weird, like, pudgy potato sack golem.
That he actually
looked more like the cave troll from Fellowship of the Ring than he did Doomsday at the beginning, except he was brown.
Well, it didn't even make sense that he was created.
Why do they need to cram in the Doomsday story and the death of Superman storylines? This movie is already packed as it is.
It's like a bunch of people got in a room and said, let's do some brainstorming. What do you want to see in this movie? And a bunch of people said about 30 things. Okay. They said, guess what? We're putting them all in this movie.
Amy Adams' action scene where she does a run and then she has to get the spear. No, I don't need that.
Why is she almost
adding Wonder Woman is too much. That was point number 32. Why can't Wonder Woman have pants? I mean, I'm not the first one to make this complaint, but she should have pants.
And also, he grounds going near the spear, but yet in a minute later he can carry it and fly with it.
Yeah, he dives in to get it, and then he's just floating up there, and then Lois has to save him. That was dumb. Anyway, in the home wake, who has a home wake anymore?
Yeah.
And the body is Amish? Like 10 feet from the food.
And
What's
they're like
going on?
Amish or something. They got a wagon. They do have vehicles in Kansas.
Point number 30.
They have hearses and cars and such. They don't need to use a whole horse and wagon there. And the Amish people, and like no one comes to his funeral. Like all those people we see in the
12 people
in the first movie that recognize him, they were too cheap to bring them back.
Hey,
like the guy
point number 35. It's too long, and you certainly don't need your competition. And then point number 36, the floating dirt at the end. That never amounts to anything. That is just, they ended it on a cliffhanger, and by the time they got to next
dirt? Is that what his power?
No, that means like he's coming back on.
I guess, but it wasn't done right.
No, it's a reference to Man of Steel.
Punched through the casket.
It's a reference to Man of Steel that he does that when he's about to fly.
And why the Amish taking him? And why are they driving through the fields? You don't drive when you're a farmer.
I'm really angry about this.
You do not drive when your crop is ready to be harvested. You do not drive over it. Oh my god. You can't harvest it when it's squashed.
You have a lot of complaints about this
movie. I do. I just think it just drives me. And I like it better than the first one, the Man of Steel. So you can tell how much I hated that one.
I got 16 points for things that I liked about this movie.
Okay, let us hear.
First point. I enjoyed Jeremy Irons as Snarky Alfred. He's great in this. He's so snarky and just making all these quips and snarky remarks under his breath at him. Yeah. He's like, oh, if you're not careful, the next generation of Waynes is going to inherit nothing but an empty wine cellar because this Batman is drinking so much. And then he's like, not that there's likely to be another version of the Waynes the way you're at it.
If you had never seen a Batman movie before, you wouldn't really understand who Batman is from this movie. It doesn't really make sense. You don't even think he has any
money. Though they put the origin in?
Mow his lawn or mow the graveyard where his family, he can't even get a mower.
The only thing we're allowed to say right now is things we like, okay? I didn't, despite all the saving, I enjoyed Amy Adams as Lois Lane. She's doing a great job with the very little that she's given here, but she's under contract, and if they only give her a few lines, just like they don't give Batman very many lines, so it's, because the dialogue's not great. Now, I did enjoy the returning Man of Steel cast, because they got all the people from the newspaper.
I guess they forgot about his classmates that love him, and he rescued them from death, and they didn't even come to his funeral. Yeah, they're in the first movie, in the Man of Steel movie, and they couldn't pay to bring them back.
all the ones that were shown there were in flashbacks, except for the one guy with the red hair who was the manager at the IHOP.
There's also a girl too that's in it.
Okay, they brought in the reporters. They brought in Perry, Lawrence Fishburne playing Perry White. Doesn't even
need to be in it. They didn't even need any of that newsroom stuff. To tell you the truth, they didn't need any of the newsroom.
No, they didn't need that, except for explains why she's getting helicopter rides. But anyway, I did enjoy that they brought back a lot of the cast there. Harry Lennox and the captain, who is now a major. They brought back those people. I enjoyed that. I like the reference. There's a Nicholson Terminal and Dock Company. So that's a reference to Jack Nicholson, who played the Joker. That's why they did that. I like that reference. The Batmobile chase scene is pretty good, actually. I mean, it's way over the top, but it's fun. I enjoyed that.
In that one?
He was chasing the truck because they had the shipment off the White Portuguese, which was the kryptonite container.
Oh, yeah, another thing thrown in there.
Told you, I've watched this movie. I don't know, at least a dozen times.
Too much.
I did enjoy after that chase scene. There's a Batman and Superman stare down. They stare off at each other and they're like talking trash to each other. That was pretty good. And as Superman flies off and Batman's like, "You will." He's like, "You will bleed." Superman definitely heard that. So
well, apparently his hearing's not so good
I did
anymore.
enjoy how they used kryptonite in this film. How Batman made it into a spear, but also with the gas grenades. I like that idea. It just, the fight was too short.
They misused it.
Now, the fight was way too short of Batman versus Superman. And it had this all convoluted mess leading up to it. But what we did get, I really did enjoy. I enjoyed Batman knocking the crap out of Superman there for a while. That was fun.
I'm like, this is just stupid.
I enjoyed Batman's training and weapons building montage. So he had that montage there where he's doing CrossFit. He's Captain CrossFit now, being really abusive to tires.
A lot of people went out and got a bunch of tires.
You didn't like it, but I enjoyed the Batman armor suit.
I thought it looked
I thought that looked really good.
Cumbersome.
That's very much a reference to the 1980s comic, The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. Hardcore Batman fans.
I didn't like
it.
It's
like Zack Snyder. They love that book, and that's why he tried to put so many of the concepts from it, and clearly it didn't work.
Like a tinfoil hat or something.
I really enjoyed Superman's suit as well. He's looking great in his suit.
It's a suit. I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, it's just a suit.
Sometimes they've done Superman suits that look really bad. The Brandon Routh one had like 20 Superman symbols all over it. It even had them on the boots. And the belt buckle.
You haven't got
like,
the
what's going on?
Yet. You gotta look at my belt buckle.
I really enjoyed the Hans Zimmer. Well, I wouldn't say I really enjoyed. I did enjoy the Hans Zimmer score. It's not as good as the Man of Steel score. No way. But I did enjoy the score a lot.
It's wasted on a movie like
this. The Batman warehouse fight scene was quite enjoyable. Batman beating the crap out of all of them and using gadgets to just knock their guns out.
It should have been Superman that was there, not Batman.
You weren't watching. He was busy confronting Lex and dealing with
He would have got his mother right away.
Dealing with.
They should have explained it
dealing
that
with Doomsday.
They should have kidnapped.
Hey! Can I finish?
Spider-Man.
Talking good things about this.
And had him so that he couldn't find his mother.
dear. Let me speak.
Okay,
come on, you're being rude here. I let you speak. I did enjoy the Batman warehouse fight scene. In the Ultimate Edition, there is more of that, and it's even more hardcore. So it wouldn't be for kids. Kids wouldn't be able to see it. Like the guy that stabs him in the shoulder and then he stabs him, he does even more stuff to him.
Stabbing?
And then he's like, "I'm a friend of your son's." I thought that was hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
When he rescues Martha Kent, he's like, "Don't worry, I'm a friend of your son's."
Come with me, I'm very creepy. But that's exactly
what that's not what Batman would say. I'm a friend of your son's.
Say that.
But I thought it was hilarious. Anderson Cooper cameo. Nice to see that. Even though I didn't enjoy all those news clips, I'm like, it's Anderson Cooper, all right. And the cinematography the cinematography was quite good as well.
Okay, you're giving it to the cinematography. They're searching there.
No, it was good cinematography.
About crap, it's crap.
I mean, it had good fight scenes in it.
The music and the cinematography was good. I didn't mind Batman's suit. No, these are valid compliments here. I didn't mind Jesse Eisenberg.
There's a lot of movies that I don't notice the score because it's just there in the background. So when I enjoy it, I'm like, yes, I understand this. Okay, the Man of Steel score, I definitely recognize. You know, you'll recognize instantly the Avengers score, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But if it's just like Jurassic Park, you'll recognize Indiana Jones. Star Wars is the biggest example. But if it's another movie where it's like it's just in the background, you don't really notice it. Depends. Is there a great score to Shazam? I don't remember.
I don't know. I'm just listening.
See?
I'm watching Succession right now. I just finished season 1, and that has a great score. However, they used the music too much in the first season, the same music, but now they got some different.
So getting back to our topic, Zack Snyder's great title, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Which also is just dumb.
Well, it's not the best title, but it's the start of the Justice League. That's why it's the Dawn of Justice, because we're going to get the Justice League. Then we're going to get the Justice Society. Then we're going to get Justice League Dark. And I'm like, these guys need to think of better names for their teams, because they all say Justice.
Batman rescues Superman's mom because Superman's too busy. That would have been a better title.
What was the other 2 hours of it?
It was just too much fun. I didn't mind Jesse Eisenberg as a villain, but he's just one more thing they're trying to pack into this movie.
So this movie came 3 years after the Man of Steel movie. So in terms of launching a cinematic universe, they didn't have everything set up right away.
Right.
So they made Man of Steel, saw how it was. Okay, now we're going. So then we're going to get Batman v Superman. That'll be the next one. So Zack Snyder had 3 years to work on this. And he had to meet that deadline. And then we started getting Suicide Squad and so on and so on. But then it started to break down. And that's why there end up being more and more gaps between these DC movies. And that's why we have way more Marvel movies and way less DC movies.
I mean,
so
Ben Affleck does a good job. I don't like Henry Cavill's Superman, the way they've directed him or something. He hardly says anything. He has no shine. He has no sparkle. He just is such a blah guy.
That's how he was directed to act. That's not his fault.
But it's just not good. He has nothing special about him, and he's Batman.
Batman's even too dark in this for Batman.
We don't really understand all about Batman in this movie because if you never saw it before, you wouldn't really get it.
Why is he branding people? That was one of my complaints.
And why is he wet all the time? And anyway, but it's still. It makes sense as Batman, the character himself, the actor, and the way he's portraying it. Mm-hmm. But this Superman portrayal, again, is just so bad. And that's why I really didn't like the first one. He's just so mopey, and he's like a dopey kid that lives up the street. Mm-hmm. He shouldn't be Superman.
That's not Henry Cavill's fault. That's how he was directed to act in all these scenes.
They did a bad job on that.
Okay. That's the vision of the director. And the writers, and the producer, the main producer on the movie. This is the vision that they want to have.
His mother now has to work in a restaurant, in a diner, as a waitress.
Oh, wait till you see where she works.
Won't help her. He won't even paint her house in the first movie. They don't even go inside of her house in this one. Did you notice that?
Did she still have the house in this one?
They talk on the front lawn. You only see inside the house when he's being waked in the house.
Okay.
That's weird.
I think there's more of it. There might be more of that in the Ultimate Edition. I don't remember.
Strange.
But we do find it. We do get a continuation of her story in the next one. Wait till you see where she's working in the next one.
Let the woman retire, man. Gosh, she could just paint her house in 2 seconds.
Her husband died and she doesn't have any money.
She got this kid who's a Superman. That's what I mean. He's such a goof. He doesn't even contribute. And said he's got this big job in Metropolis. He doesn't even help his mother. It just doesn't make sense. He doesn't even rescue her. He's a bad son. Bad son.
Well, he already rescued
her. He doesn't rescue his dad either. Or the dog.
Okay, apparently Christine doesn't like this movie a lot more than me. There's some redeeming qualities to it, but you just don't seem to like anything about it. Can you say something good about this that you like?
I said I like Ben Affleck as Batman
and
Jesse Eisenberg as a villain. However, he didn't even need to be in this movie because there's so many other things in this movie. We got multiple villains.
Yeah.
We got too much going on.
This is one we just kind of got through for getting through the DCEU. Now, I got some information for you on that. So, the DC Extended Universe, as we call it,
Yes.
it was never actually named that by Warner Brothers, who made all these movies, right?
Not good at the marketing, are they?
No. And one of the reasons for that is because there's been so many regime changes at Warner Brothers, okay? As these movies are being made. So, you got one regime that... that starts it, and then another regime comes in. They're like, we don't like what's happening, so we're course correcting. And then another regime comes in, and they're course correcting. And then a movie comes out and doesn't do as well as that, so they immediately course correct. So it's just a lot of people who don't know how to deal with this material. They don't understand the source material and the fandom out there. So they're like, we're going to do what they don't know what's going to work, right? And so they make a Superman movie. It doesn't live up to their potential. Okay?
No, the writing is bad.
And then they make a Batman and Superman movie that really should have easily hit $1 billion at the box office. It's got Batman and Superman and movies, Wonder Woman.
The writing is poor.
But yeah, on this one, I didn't like it.
They need to put money into those writers.
Well, at Warner Brothers, they tend to hire a lot of the same writers.
Yes.
And remember who I told you who was on one of the writers on the first one is also. Remember who I told you who it was?
I mean, when you're.
And he's also a writer on this. It's David S. Goyer and.
Okay. But I mean, it was obviously
not
he was
really
under pressure to put trailers of other movies in this movie. How are they going to insert that? Like, they have like a script and then some like executive says, oh, we need to put these exact trailers in this order in this movie. Figure out a way to do it.
Actually, speaking of that, this is an aside because we just a series of tangents here. Every studio seems to have learned that lesson the hard way. Because this is DC at Warner Brothers. They learn you can't just make a movie that's a trailer for future movies. And that's a lot of what this movie is. Now, Sony learned that lesson when they made Amazing Spider-Man 2. And then that bombed because it was just trailers for future movies. And we're like, it wasn't good. Make a good movie. Marvel Studios learned that lesson a long time ago back in 2010 when they made Iron Man 2. Because a lot of people don't like that one. And it's just setting up future movies. It's just a bunch of trailers. And you got to make a good movie. Not worry about the next 10 movies. You still got to make a good movie. Because if your movie doesn't do well, it could end your franchise right there.
They could have brought Wonder Woman in at the funeral. They could have brought her in then. They didn't need to have her.
As like a scene, and that's when Bruce first meets her and talks to her?
Yeah,
that would have been a good
that.
Instead
of inserting her and she's all over the place.
Anyway, let me get back to the previous point I was making before we got diverged there. So the DCEU was never actually named that by Warner Brothers, and they never officially acknowledged it. It was just named that by the media.
Oh.
And so they never got around to naming it. And apparently at one point there was a news report that came out that said one of the regimes, I think like the second or third regime, came out with a name for it. And they released it, but then like a week later, everyone forgot it. But I think they came out with a name, and it was called Worlds of DC. Which, not a bad name.
But it's not worlds, really. It is more universes than anything.
Yeah. Anyway, not really good. Not really good marketing or management over there at Warner Bros. Over the last 10 years or so with making these movies. But anyway, despite this one, I still am enjoying watching the DCEU movies. I'm looking forward to watching all of them and the one show that's in canon as well.
I like the Shazam movies.
We're not getting to that.
But those are the only ones I think I did like.
Okay. What rating would you give Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice?
I'd give it like a 40.
40?
Yeah.
That's more than what you gave Man of Steel, so...
That's what I'm saying. I liked it better than Man of Steel, and that's... not good. On
the internet rating system, I gotta give it worst movie ever. I'm not trying to pick a fight with anyone. If you love this movie, I don't want to take that away from you. I'm jealous. That's why I watched it so much. I'm like, what am I not getting here?
Like the first
if you enjoy it, please write in down below and tell us what do you enjoy about it so much. And, just be civil about it. I want to hear other opinions. Maybe I'm just not... I don't know. It just wasn't for me, I can say. And I'm just
it's written for you though. It's supposed to be for you.
Yeah, as a hardcore fan of this kind of stuff growing up, the fans should love it. And this is a very divisive movie because they've divided the fan base. The people that love this they're diehard and they love it, but the majority of fans aren't loving it. And it's the vocal minority that are saying, no, these are amazing. We want more Snyderverse movies. They're the vast minority of people.
I mean,
unfortunately, for those guys.
Yeah.
But in general audience aren't enjoying this, and without the general public supporting these movies, you're not going to be getting to make billion-dollar movies, and then these high-budget movies will go away because studios won't make them if they're not good and people don't support them.
I remember when
so this didn't really make much money.
When we watched it in the theater, you were heartbroken over this movie. You
I
were
don't know if I was heartbroken. I was quite annoyed.
Excited about it.
I was excited about it.
I kind of expected kind of what I got. After Man of Steel, I really didn't like it, and this one was a little bit better. I found the first half an hour is interesting. You're trying to figure out, well, how will Batman and Superman be against each other? And they start going down that road, but then it gets all convoluted, and it really doesn't make sense in the end.
He's all pissed. He's all pissed off. He's like, that alien son of a bitch brought the fight to us, so we gotta take him out.
But instead of Batman being with the guy with no legs, instead of him talking with him anymore, because he does save him, there's
no need for that character.
Dealing with him instead, so that didn't.
That's just so
give
he could
him
plant a bomb on his chair.
That made no sense. It should have been Batman. This was a guy that Batman loved a lot, and he saw what he did to him, and Batman seeing many other victims of this fight. Maybe that would have made more sense. It was going there, but then it just verged.
Yep.
Need a U-turn? Yep. I don't know.
That's our thoughts. If you have other thoughts, or if you agree, or if you think, well, whatever you think on this movie, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, let us know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, you can always give us a like. And if you want to subscribe, the little box that's going to be down there, go right ahead. We post more content here all the time. Are you looking forward to the next one? I got my new 4K copy of 2016 Suicide Squad.
Not really, since you told me not to watch it.
I said, that's not what I said. I said don't watch it in the theater.
No, I couldn't go to the theater. I think I was sick at the time. I
haven't seen this since I saw it in the theater.
I wasn't able to see it in the theater with you before you knew it was bad, and then you said just don't bother with it. I believe
Batman v Superman came out in February, something like that. Or March.
We went to see it together. I do remember that.
And Suicide Squad came out, I think, in August of the same year. So that's our next one as we go into the DCEU. Hope you enjoyed this. Take care.